Hi, it's Mike with AskTractorMike.com. Latest numbers on tractor sales are out, and for the most part, they're going down. We're seeing a drop in tractor sales below last year and below expectations. Now, does that mean you can waltz into your local tractor dealer and they're going to give you a tractor because they're so overloaded with inventory? Afraid not yet. But things are getting better. Let's go into the computer and I'll show you what I'm talking about. These numbers are provided by the Association of Equipment Manufacturers, the organization that keeps these numbers, and we want to thank them for letting us use this data. But these are United States ag tractor and combine sales year to date through August, right here in these columns right here. And they call them two-wheel drive farm tractors, but they could be front-wheel assist or two-wheel drive. What they mean by two-wheel drive is non-articulated. Down here are four-wheel drive tractors, and those are the ones that are articulated, the big row crop tractors. And here are self-propelled combines. So we're going to look at the numbers. Where we've seen a huge drop in 2022 versus 2021 is under 40 horsepower, a market that has been on fire for a long time. We've gone from 154,355 in 2021 down to 127 in 2022, or a 17.6% drop. The 40 to 100 horse tractor market has also dropped from a shade over 50,000 in 2021 to 43,734. The over 100 horsepower market has actually gone up from 14,065 units a year ago to 15,759, or a 12% increase. And we'll talk about why that is. The four-wheel drive market, the articulated farm tractors have actually dropped, which may be a situation with inventory, which we'll talk about, and self-propelled combines are actually up slightly. So what's going on with the market? Why are small tractor sales down? Well, in order to understand the market, you've really got to go back to 2019. And 2019 was the last year before COVID hit. And COVID really changed the market drastically on small tractors. If you look at 2019, it was up from 2018. From 2018, 111,000, almost 112,000 tractors were sold under 40 horsepower, and that number went up 5.2% to 117,815 in 2019. So that market was going up. The 40 to 100 horsepower market from 18 to 19 was about flat, and over 100 horsepower about flat too. So the market on these small tractors was the one that was really on fire and really growing. So from 2019 to 2020, we had COVID hit, and here are the numbers here. And you may notice a little change in these numbers. They kind of tally them up at the end of the year and may change them slightly. But from 2019, before COVID, to 2020, we saw a massive increase in small tractor sales. And that was for several reasons. Number one, a lot of people were moving out of the city to the country. Number two, we had, of course, government payments that help people have more income. And number three, people weren't going on vacations or going to restaurants or movies, and they had a lot more income. So people that needed a tractor were buying them. So from 2019, we went from right at 118,000 to 138,000, or more than a 20,000 unit gain, or 17.1%. These were phenomenal numbers. The 40 to 100 horse tractor market also grew by over 10%. The larger tractor market was actually down. So that's what went on from 2019 before COVID to 2020 in the middle of the lockdown. And then if you want to look at what happened last year in 2021, those numbers continued to grow even more. We went from basically 138,000 to 154,000, numbers we had never ever dreamed of before, or an 11.6% gain. The 40 to 100 horsepower market was also growing from 43,740 to 49,906. And the big tractor market last year started growing as well. It kind of caught on fire. So that's where we were from 2019 before COVID to the initial stages of COVID till full COVID. And now as we're coming out of COVID, this is where we are. I made this spreadsheet to kind of summarize all of these years. And what I'm looking at here is 2019 sales versus inventory. How much inventory was available? And that's 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. And I track the number of sales to the inventory on the ground. And these are numbers the first day of August. This is how many tractors under 40 horsepower were available for sale. So you see we've gone from having a lot of tractors percentage-wise related to inventory in stock to a lot less. And I do that with 40 to 100 horse, over 100 horse, and four-wheel drive articulated and combine. So let's talk about these small tractors here. If you actually go back and look at where sales were in 2019 versus where they are today in 2022, we've still seen almost a 10,000 unit gain. We'll throw out these 2020 and 2021 numbers because COVID was going on. It changed the market. But if you compare where we are today to last year, yeah, numbers are down sharply, but to maybe what is normal, numbers are still growing. And if you look at the inventory level in 2019 was 75% of sales. In 2020, it went down to 41%. It went down to 26% in 2021. And if you were shopping for a tractor, you understood they were hard to get. And then in 2022, the inventory levels have actually come up almost 25,000 units, and sales have dropped from where we were in 2021. So the market is coming back to normal. 40 to 100 horse tractors were a little bit heavy on inventory back in 2019, and they dropped over COVID, and now they're on their way back. If you look at the over 100 horse market and what's going on there, supplies dropped, and the market showed a little bit of gain last year. It's up again this year, and what's going on there is, tractors over 100 horsepower are generally owned by full-time farmers or larger farmers, and those numbers are going up as the Ukraine situation unfolds and there's drought over much of the U.S. and the world. People are looking at food shortages, and they're looking at the market growing and prices being better. So this market is coming up. Well, if you use that logic, why is the four-wheel drive articulated tractor market not coming up? And I think that is purely the fact that there's almost no inventory out there. We're at a 4-year low in inventory, only 22% of sales. And so people were probably wanting to buy four-wheel drive articulated tractors, and they can't find them. If you look back to 2019, the inventory was heavy. The inventory was at 62% of sales. And I think manufacturers like to keep these numbers somewhere probably between, on the small tractors, probably around 65, 70%, mid-range probably about the same, and maybe lower than that in this bigger stuff, because that is a cost of doing business, and they'd like to get away from having to have any inventory on the ground. They'd like you to just order the tractor and get it in and not have to sit there for very long. But that's just not where we are right now. People like to see what they're buying. Now, if you look at combines, combine sales have grown. And again, people are looking at cashing in on the situation with food supplies. Now, the numbers I want to look at now, I've done a graph of inventory versus sales in the under 40 horsepower range. And you see how close these numbers were together in 2019, and you had more bargaining power in 2019, but as the number of sales grew on this blue line and the inventory in the field dropped, bargaining power went down, and tractors actually got hard to find. Well, now inventory is coming up and demand is dropping, and so these numbers are getting back together. It's not as tight as these two lines were here in 2019, but it's getting better. If you're shopping for a tractor, your situation is improving. I also did a similar graph looking at 40 to 100 horse tractors. If you're looking for a little bigger tractor, again, these numbers were real close together back in 2019, and they separated, got way out, the demand came up, and the supply went down. Now going into 2022, that's coming back to normal. So long and the short of what I want to say here is if you're shopping for a tractor, your situation is getting better, inventory is coming up, and demand is dropping a little bit. Again, like I said at the beginning, I don't think you can waltz into a dealer and buy a tractor 10 grand cheaper than you could have last year, but it's all headed in the right direction. Hopefully this information helps you out if you're shopping for a tractor, or if you're a tractor geek like me and just like to know these numbers. You can help me out one of three ways. Click the mic face icon and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out the Tractor Fun Store on my website, which helps support my channel, or just watch this video. Thanks for watching.